Welcome to the Athletes in Motion podcast, from race to recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic as well. We're back for another wonderful conversation, just you and I. We've got a few things to talk about. Before we get into that, let's do the business side of things. Make sure you subscribe. You're watching on YouTube or Apple or Spotify or whatever that comes on. Subscribe. Give us some thumbs up. 5 stars, all that good stuff. Get the ratings out there. Get this out to everybody else. We really appreciate that. And keep your questions and comments coming. So what we wanted to talk to today came up in a comment when we asked about it last time. We want to talk about what happens when things don't go to plan.
Yep.
Basically, like on a bigger scale. Like you've got issues yourself. You're going to run into different things. But how do you deal with adversity when
like
it's
your
out
dog.
of your control? We just decided to leave. Especially like we've had so many swims canceled, like just between last year and this year. Just for us, Chattanooga was close. We've got, what was the one in Georgia was canceled last year, and the swim down in Florida was canceled this year. So the question came up is like, how do you process that? I mean, mentally, it's tough, especially if it's your first race at that distance, whether it was the half iron, full iron.
All the anxiety, all the preparation.
You're
all
building
that.
up, you're building up, and
Yeah.
now do you feel like incomplete?
Yeah.
So what do you do? What you've been through this, right? You you had a bomb cyclone.
I learned a new word. Yeah, bomb cyclone.
Are we allowed to say bomb on this?
I
bomb
don't
cyclone.
have a problem with it.
It's a weather thing. Bomb cyclone hit California, and you were getting your wetsuit on first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Now, that killed the whole race, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool. I lived in Sacramento for 20 years. They decided Ironman Sacramento would be their next new location. Immediately signed up, super excited. I kind of needed that recharge. I was getting kind of like losing my why. And so the idea of being able to swim in the river that I spent 20 years next to, I ran every course, I biked every place. I know it like the back of my hand. I was excited. The West Coast apparently don't have hurricanes or tornadoes. They have bomb cyclones. It's a beautiful day on a Saturday. The sky unloaded at 2 a.m. and just dumped 40-mile-an-hour winds. The porta potties were literally floating down Main Street. In the morning, there was a palm tree on a car.
It's pretty impressive.
It's insane. So to your point, here you are. I spent close to 11 months in training. Physically, those hot days in Tennessee where you don't want to be out there, but you know you have to be out there. You're trying to finish. You're dealing with pain. You're trying to come in healthy. You're trying to do all those things, and then that day, act of God, right? You can't. This isn't like, oops, we screwed up, or oops, my bike was broken. It was debris in a river going 30 miles an hour and driving rain, and the hotel lost power. I mean, it was just, it's everything like a hurricane you thought it would be. It's basically on the West Coast. And Sacramento California can't handle that much rain that fast. And so flooded. So what do you do?
Quickly.
I mean, it's
So what
you
did
go
you do?
through. You go through all the emotions, right?
Yeah,
you
got really pissed off.
You're super pissed, right? You go, I can't believe this happened. I just spent 11 months training. What do I do? I'm drinking a beer at 9:30 because why not, right? I just spent, I'm sitting in a hotel literally in the dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Because trying to eat a pizza in the dark, with the only thing that works is the elevator, and my iPad, all my battery died on everything, so I'm literally have nothing to do. And I think that, we knew it was coming. We kind of knew it, right? And the funny part about it is, to your point, we were there. It's 5:30 in the morning, driving wind. You can't even shut your door because it's raining so hard. People wore their wetsuits out of the hotel because that was a brilliant idea. Why get all wet and then get into a wetsuit? So they're literally coming out of the hotel in their wetsuit.
Yeah.
And I'm in a tent halfway, trying to pull and I'm going, I can't believe we're doing this. We got a couple thousand people that are literally going to jump in in the water with driving rain. Like I would have to pull over. I'm a fairly good. I can handle my bike really well. Yeah. And I'm going to have to pull over just to pull a bottle. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm thinking about this, right? I mean, it's like, and they canceled it, and a lot of people were upset. There were people that ran the course anyway. They were like, I'm here. I'm so mad. I'm going to run the course. I'm like, there's debris. I mean, people. So the hard part was, the acceptance of that, like, hey, you just can't deal with it. You're pretty bummed. You spent a lot of money, a lot of time and all that. The hard part is getting that gumption to go do it again, right? It's that that 10 months that you spent, and now it's January, and you thought, okay, this was supposed to have been done in October. January, you're turning around like, okay.
All over again. Yeah.
Now I have to climb the mountain of doing the training, starting over, putting the miles in, hope I don't get injured, deal with the hot weather, the hard summer, go to fall.
So for that one, did they give you the option of going to a different race?
They did.
Like earlier in the season, they gave you basically just anything next year, right? Because this was September.
Actually, I think it was October, I think it was early October, right? Because what they did is because Ironman Arizona, there were 2 races that at the end. It was Arizona, I think it's Costa Rica was the last 2, I think, or Puerto Rico, one of the islands.
Cozumel.
That one,
right? It's Cozumel.
There was limited spots in Arizona, so they said if you want to do it, hurry up and get in Arizona. That wasn't an option for me. Yeah. And then I think one it was an ocean swim, or they just deferred you to the next. By default, they deferred you to the next Ironman California, or you can register for any Ironman in the following year. And I just kept it at Sacramento because I wanted to do Sacramento. Yeah, and I'm glad I did because I finished it. It was fun. Yeah. But I think that's the hard part. The hard part on a complete cancellation, it feels funky. I haven't experienced. I don't have experience with the idea of just the swim portion got canceled, or you get an altered course because of issues, or right. I think for me, that's part of the chess game. I guess if you look at it that way, I mean, it really is. If you think about it, we're playing chess. It's 3 different sports, trying to figure out how to balance between, am I aggressive on the swim? Do I hold back on the bike? At what point? How do I fuel? What if it's humidity? What if it's cold? What if it's raining? What if it's, all of those things that you're trying to figure out your 3 moves ahead, right? Okay, if I do this, then this and this is going to happen, right? If I bring this, if I'm,
we're staring at the weather on the way in. I remember back to, so when I think about my first Ironman in Lake Placid back in 2010, they almost canceled the swim. Yeah. And because it was a storm, and there was a potential storm, and it was a little rainy, and it was there, and there could have been some lightning, and they would have, so they delayed it like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I just remember that feeling of wanting to do it regardless. Yeah. Like we're so locked in for the year of training leading up to it that, you were willing to risk your life in lightning just because I want to be an Ironman and I have to do the swim, the bike, the run. Yeah. And I remember that feeling. Having done some now, I approach things a lot differently. I think even if they just cancel the swim, it's like, okay, well, there's no swim. We just move on, right? Yeah. We just do the bike and the run. I get the disappointment side of things. I don't understand the people that were like, I'm going to go to the YMCA and swim in the morning before and then get over here and do the bike. Because it's still not the same. So
live to fight another day, right?
So you did it. It's hard to process. There's a little bit of disappointment, but I think in the grand scheme of things, if you do it long enough, like, that little blip is nothing on the map that draws itself out. But for the people who are doing the one and done, that's got to be tough. That's got to be super tough because now you were just going to check this box once, and now they were going to do Chattanooga full, and they canceled the swim. Mm-hmm. What do you do, right? Yeah. You still completed the race because that's all there was the bike and the run. But you didn't do the Ironman type thing, or do you feel, I'm sure most people who did that felt obligated to themselves to do it again, right?
Well, I want to ask a question to the audience, right? If you have a swim that's canceled, do you consider it an Ironman?
Yeah.
I would love our
or
folks to tell
race,
us. Yeah. Is it
or
considered
half
a full
if it's
Ironman?
the 70.3
Correct.
because they canceled the 70.3.
So do you feel
swim.
like you did the race, or do you feel like, I mean, I guess the extreme point of that is if you did the full Ironman, would you go get the tattoo, right? Yeah. Yes, I completed an Ironman.
Yeah.
Right. And all that sort of stuff. So I think, but it's interesting when there's sort of there's two ways to approach it, right? One is you fight it the whole way. And the other one is like, hey, you roll with the punches, you figure out what to do next, and you sort of move on. And the people that tend to do better, and I'm in the former camp where I try to fight it, right? Like, oh my gosh, there's going to be waves, or oh my gosh, it's going to be rainy, or oh my gosh, what do I do? Like somehow I'm going to get away with it. Like if it's raining, if I just do this, or if I wear this on my shoes, somehow I'm going to keep my feet. No, right? At some point, you just have to accept the weather and the fate that it is. And say, okay, well, all right, I'm just going to shift my thinking to your point. No swim? Okay, well, slough that part off. Yeah, I know I spent a majority of my time was, going through the water, and it was painful, and I hated it, but I'm ready now, and I don't know if I'm going to be ready again. Okay, put that off to one side. I need to focus on, okay, how do I shift my nutrition a little bit? What do I need to get ready for the bike? How do I make sure that I've got fresh legs? I don't want to go in too hot, because one of the problems when you don't do the swim is you treat it like a time trial at the beginning because you're anxious and you got that and you want to go, right?
There were so many people at Chattanooga at the 70.3 that were just blew themselves up on the bike. I was there at the start. I was about not even a half mile up the course, right there at the front, and they were hammering it.
Yep.
In a group, like hammering it. And then you had one or two people that were trying to start their watch and were weaving back and forth all over the place.
Which is on another podcast.
Which is a whole different,
situational
issue.
Awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah. There you
go. But they were hammering it off. And even a couple people that they blew by, they just were shaking their heads like, what are you doing? I mean, this is like, we've got a long day out here in the heat, and like this, you're not making up anything. So.
Yeah, and I think it's those. I wish I can adopt that. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not that good at it. I tend to resist it first and get upset. Like the second year I did Ironman California, so it was in Sacramento. Weather was going to weather, and sure enough, the second year was a 40 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour sustained, 40 mile an hour gust on the way out or on the way back. So you're spending, 20 plus miles an hour on the way out. Turn around, I'm doing 11 miles an hour on the way back. Now, I could try to fight that thing all I want and just burn calories and burn watts to get myself to what, 12 and a half miles an hour? And I'm passing people. I'm doing 11.9 and I'm passing people.
And you're passing people.
Billy Goat's passing me, but it's sort of like, at some point you just need to accept the fate. This is what it's going to be, especially because it's a 2-loop thing, right?
Yeah.
And so you get out of that and you're like, wow, now I got to go do it again. And it's not going out, it's coming back. So the last thing you're going to get is just a sustained headwind. And I remember the last 2 miles, I'm literally yelling at the wind at that point. I'm like, just give me the last 2. Nope. You're going to just squeeze me for everything it's worth. Got it. But I think that tendency to fight, it's the same thing with the swim, right? You don't do a very good job in the swim when you fight the water. When you just, it's the same.
But what do you talk through your head? What's going through your head when you're pushing into that headwind? So we're talking about stuff that's outside of your control here. Right.
Yeah.
So this is wind conditions. This is weather. This is the race organizers having to change up something last minute. What are you thinking about? I mean, you're getting mad at it at first.
Yeah.
So are you going through all the stages? What's the when do you go up and just get defeated and go, whatever?
Well, I think it's a stage process to your point, right? You're like, you see first off, you're like, it's sustained 30 miles an hour winds. Okay. Any idea of a PR or any idea of, I had a time in my head that I think if the wind was fine, given the course conditions, everything else, I can probably do this time. Then it's like, okay, at this point, you go back to the basics, right? You go back to the basics, which is miles an hour for me is a secondary measurement. It's watts and it's perceived effort, right? So if I happen to be going 11 miles an hour on the same watts and I'm doing 23 miles an hour on the way out, then that's what it is. And so what I had to do is just throw away the idea of speed, throw the idea away of time. It took me nearly 7 hours to do this damn course. And that is way longer than it needs to be. It's probably well over an hour slower. Yeah. It's not going to be my PR day. And that was a course, could be a PR course. I mean, it's designed to be a PR course. Not today. Not today. So It's
wasn't
sort of like
happening.
you just go back to the basics. Like, what did I train for? I trained for watts and rate of perceived effort. That's what I use to control myself. And that's it. And then speed is secondary. So it's like you get what you get. You hope, you know, you're going to do longer on the bike. So you hope you have the fuel that you thought you had, right? Make sure you start relying, you start thinking through, you've got time on a bike now.
Definitely got to focus on the fueling to get through that, because you still got to run after that.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So that's... Yeah,
and then I think the other thing, and you know this, right? Just anything with a sport like this, it's so long and so big. It's like, I know when I go back, I'm going to hit a headwind. I know it's going to be a headwind for 6 miles, and I'm going to take a right-hand turn for like a little bit of time, about a half a mile, and then I'm going to go back into the headwind. I am not going, 28 miles back in headwind. What I'm doing is I'm doing 6 miles back in headwind, and I get a half a mile to go. And then I'm going to go back, right?
Back,
so you count the chunks. I just need to make it to this road. I just need to make it to this cutoff or this turnoff. I just need to make it to this sign or this bridge or this turnaround or whatever it is. And you start reducing it to manageable chunks. I mean, I had to get down to like, I'm going to make it to the end of that road. And I'm not going to look up. And then I'm, what would take me 3 minutes, 10 minutes later, I look up and I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Okay, I made it past that road.
finally there.
There.
That
okay,
ultimate
I'm gonna
goal
make it-
comes in
Correct.
of finishing the race. That's where it goes back. I always say your first goal is always to finish the race, and then you have all these other great things. I want to have a good swim, a good bike, good run. I want to have good transitions. And you can still do a lot of that. You can still have good transitions. If you're facing conditions that are really rough or no swim, you still need to finish the race, right? So you still, that last bastion of whatever, if I only accomplish one thing today, it's I finished the race. And regardless of the conditions and what they threw at us. I did a race on the Big Island called Monster Try. It was a 140.6. It wasn't a IM branded race. It was on the same course. It was in February, and they had a storm that rolled in that basically shut down all the beaches and everything. I was the only person that did the long course. And the to get up to Javi for the turnaround took me, I think, just under 2 hours. I flew. It took me 4 hours to come back. and I was leaning sideways towards the ocean, and trying to stay upright the whole time, just grinding all the way back. And it just kind of put your head down. It was just like I just needed to complete the race. All I needed to do was complete the race, and it was they had I had a nice guy following me that I didn't know in a car just to make sure that I didn't die out there. It was kind of fun.
I mean, really like time. The half Ironman in Oregon, I did my first one. Great race, but the road conditions, they had a couple potholes, some railroad crossings. So there's some bounces, right? You see water bubbles. I saw somebody's bike seat and bike post, which I don't know how they finished that. Like that's telling.
Crazy.
Like you ride by, like, well, that's not good. And so I'm coming back, and I've got a pretty good clip going. I'm feeling good about this, right? Swim turned out fast. I was really good about the swim. Bike was going well. I was clocking at a good pace. I hit the railroad track, and bam, my handlebars jarred loose. So now I have loose handlebars, which you kind of need. So I couldn't be down to my drops because they're all over the place now, and I've got like 6 miles left to go. And so I got to an area where I just sort of, was able to come down a hill. I was doing about 22, 23, and, hoping my front end didn't fall apart. And then I kind of went off to one side, and I had to sit up for 6 miles and go like 16 miles an hour. And
just to get back.
All these people I passed, I had to tell them I didn't bonk. Like, I didn't bonk. It's mechanical, because, it's like,
the
this
first
guy.
The first thing was like, what does it look like?
I just want to be clear. It's a mechanical. But then again,
what you're really hoping is that there wasn't a photographer in that last 6 miles, because it was going to be your.
And so I think I wanted under 3 hours on that one at minimum. And I rolled in at 2:59:59 with, having to pull up. So I got it. But again, I can't. Like, these are your handlebars, man. You're like, I should have, but I was able to. It was just the sticks. It wasn't the whole handlebar. So they were just so loose I couldn't. So I just had to pull up and kind of finish it out.
Just ride the baseball.
So then you switch. I think the point is you switch your brain, right? It's like that's the part where you have to. That's the lesson you learn. It's like, okay, if I'm sitting up and I can't do this. Well, I got 6 miles now to keep my legs loose, get some fuel in before the run, just pedal my legs out, and yeah, I'm going to go 16 to 18 miles an hour, not 22. Okay. So just pedal it back. Now just get some fuel, relax my back. You're kind of up, you're doing that. And just, you take what you get. It's sort of you have to do sort of a mental MacGyver, right?
Uh-huh.
These components are now missing. What do I do to just put these components together to still finish my race? And, hope you're.
And that's what I love about the race. I mean, and it could be sprint, Olympic, half, full. Yeah. That it mimics life in the best way, because you can be as prepared as you want.
Yep.
But what you need is to be ready to pivot, because it's never going to go perfect. You're never going to have everything just line up. You're going to cramp at some point, or you're going to have something that's going to come up and cancel the race. You're going to have a mechanical that's going to force you, and you have to, at that point, we talk about the things outside your control. Like if you have a mechanical on your bike, whether it's a flat tire that you can't fix or broken spokes, shall we talk to Brandon?
Yeah.
There's things where you have to sit there and make that choice of like, okay, this is dangerous. I'm just going to stop. And I got to tell you, that's hard to do. I mean, we're not wired 100%. For that. We're not wired to just quit. So we try to find some other way around it. And I think a lot of that is like how aware can you be of your surroundings, going over to the aid station? Can we fix this? Is there some way? What are our options to do all of that stuff? And a lot of people, especially newbies getting into this thing, doing all this thing, they're so tunnel vision focused on them in the race that they can't set back and make those decisions. They're still way too emotional. They're not thinking about it in a very, I don't know, we don't want to call it stoic kind of way of being able to process it a little bit better.
Well, and I think,
that helps.
You hit it well, which is, this isn't going to be your only race of your lifetime. We hope not anyway, right?
You hope not. Yeah.
And so you sort of like, I sat up, I go, okay, it's not going to be my fastest bike, but it's going to be a decent one, It's not going to be, so just take what you get, which is funny because, I'm the guy that goes absolutely batshit crazy when I have to get traffic that I don't feel like traffic should be. Like everyone's stupid in front of me, everyone, right? I'm the only smart person on the road right now, right? And so those things I get incredibly impatient with. But what you learn is when you start doing this sport is that, everyone gets this sign, they put it up or they'll post it on their Instagram about, you can control what you control and you don't freak out about the stuff you can't control. That's easy to say and it's easy to put on a poster, but it's really hard to do. But I think to your point, it's a race. You're not trying to save a life. You're not, you're not a, heart surgeon. And if I don't get this person, it's a race. It's like, hey, there's plenty more coming up.
And we're not pros.
You're not pros. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. My sponsor's not going to cancel me. I hope not. My wife's getting,
my sponsor. She might cancel me.
She might cancel me. But the point is you're right. I'm not Lionel Sanders. I'm not, I don't have Freshie that's going to breathe down my neck if I don't, get this done. It's like, hey, just put it back in perspective. Okay, this is what I have. I'm going to MacGyver my way through this thing, get to the end, take notes, and go, okay, I'm going to make sure that I make sure that my bolts and, my head unit on my bike is going to be, ready to go because I know this is going to be a bumpy race.
Yeah. I can relate it back to Gulf Shores last year. It was my last race of the season. Went down to Gulf Shores, doing the sprint. It's a 300-meter swim in the ocean with a 12-mile bike and a 2-mile run, and it's flat. I mean, it's flat. Super stormy the night before. Actually, kind of surprised that it cleared up enough for us to actually get the race done. So everything's still wet. I didn't bring tubes to put on the back, so I didn't have CO2 tubes, any spares.
It's a short race,
of course, because it's a big. I would have had it, but I forgot it. I left it on the other bike. I didn't transfer it back and forth. So, of course, because it's wet, there's more flats. It's just know that if there's a wet race, you will get a flat tire. I have every race I've done in the rain has had a flat tire. I have at least one. So I forget it. I'm like, okay, whatever. We get out there, we do the turnaround, we're flying along, we're having some fun. I'm racing a bunch of guys in my age group. Really, we're joking about everything. And I get a front flat tire that goes down hard. I mean, it was a big gash. It was a big piece of glass. It ended up being a big piece of glass. There was a wreck up in front of me as well. There's a whole bunch of people with flat tires, and the wheel just grabbed, went over, and just slammed me to the ground. Bam, went down. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was really pissed. I'll admit, I was really pissed. I was annoyed at a bunch of different things, and then I was thinking like, okay, well, I don't have a spare. And then I'm even more pissed because of course I didn't have the spare. The only race I didn't have a spare. That's the one I get a flat tire in. I'm all scraped up. My arm is all scraped up. I tucked and went under, and I start walking back, and I'm like, I'm just gonna quit. This is this is not worth it. And I realized we're so far out. There's no sidewalks. There's no shops. There's nothing. There's just sand and beach homes on this stretch, and I'm like. I'm on the race course. I'm going to have to stand on the race course in everybody's way, or I could just move forward. And it took me a few minutes to process this. I really had to go through it because I was like all annoyed about a bunch of things on a short race that we're just supposed to have some fun. I was starting to feel the effects of bouncing off the pavement, which I don't do very well. And I'm like, this hurts. I'm bleeding. And so Marshall comes up to me as I'm walking, and I'm just kind of like, hey, if one of the support guys can catch me, I'm going to head back. I have to finish the race. Well, I don't have to finish the race. I need to get back there anyway. It's going to take my wife, 3 hours to be able to come down and get me, and I'm not just going to sit here.
Might as well just start. Yeah.
Had there been a coffee shop or a place to get pancakes or something, I might have stopped.
Yeah.
But I started moving along, and I started thinking like, okay, this isn't, like I'll just keep going. This is no big deal. It's flat. It's not like I have to climb anything. And my heels were getting all ripped up because of the sand. And so then I started running on my cleats. It's just it's actually easier to run on your cleats than to try to walk heel to toe type of thing. So I start moving along, and now I'm moving. I'm not moving super fast, but I'm moving around. I think I ended up doing like 9-minute miles. Literally, when I looked at my watch when I was finished, I just kept going. I had my bike. I was rolling it through. Yeah, totally. I was coming up on other people that were quitting. Other people had flats, and like the Marshall came over like 2 other times to me, and I'm just kind of like, I just whatever. I'm just gonna make it. I made it all the way back.
That's awesome.
And then went out and did a 2-mile run and finished. So I finished the race, and then I went to the med tent and got bandaged up and everything. But I had to go through the process in my head. And I had to think about what I coach and what I preach to my athletes is that you always finish, right? Yeah. If I had broken bones, different story, right?
Of course.
If I had smashed, if I had been like the guy that went into the back window of a car in front of me,
oh, jeez,
I would have stopped, right?
Yeah.
He was pretty bloody. But it was that like had to go through the steps and going like, okay, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm okay. The bike's a little bashed up. Like it ended up being okay. It destroyed a brand new tire, which was more annoying because that's like $90 right there, right?
Yeah.
It just absolutely just destroyed the tire. But I made it back, and I was just kind of like, you know what? All things considered, it could have been much worse, and I did finish. Slowest sprint try that I've ever done, but it doesn't matter about the time. It was just like physically I had to get through all of that, but it took me a little bit, right? And then when people started cheering me on the on the sidewalk, when we did finally get back into town and people were watching, they're just kind of like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, just flat tire, can't," you know, like, and they see me bleeding and they're like, "Geez," I'm like, "Go, man!" And all of a sudden everyone's cheering you on. You're like, "Well, now I kind of have to finish." but I think it's that mental processing to get through, right? That's the part. I could have thrown the bike and I would have been really annoyed and just started cussing at people and the marshal and everybody else and the traffic and the whatever. And it was just, it took me a few minutes to get over that little bit of anger on it and then just sit back and go like, but my wife has no idea what's going on because I don't have a phone. So she's like probably going to freak out that I'm not back when I'm supposed to be back. And sure enough, she was. Yeah, she was a little worried. Yeah. But nobody knew where it was. And I made it back. But it was that, I think it was going through that mental process, that checklist I had to do was I had to get really pissed off first. Yeah. That initial emotional reaction. right?
And allow yourself to do that, right?
And then I was able to respond to it quickly, to switch back and go, okay, let's respond to this. We don't want to have that reaction of anger or, oh, I can't believe they're not going to let us do the swim or whatever. It came through that whole process. So when they canceled the swim down in Chattanooga for the 70.3 just, a month ago, same thing where people were getting really annoyed about, like, but it's the swim. We're all going downstream. We're all going. And I had to go, wait a second, think about it.
Yeah.
Let's look at the process that we have, like, over 50,000 cubic feet per second river moving. Like, that's ridiculous. I said at 30,000 feet per second, like, the kayakers can't stay in position.
Yeah.
So forget the swimmers. Right, great. We'll just throw you in there and catch you in a net at the back end. The idea that you have to start thinking bigger picture about the whole thing is like the kayakers can't stay in position, and even if they could, they can't get to you if you needed help.
Exactly.
And that's the issue, right? That's where it's and we have to get out of that emotional reaction state
of me
to think about it. Of me. This is my race. This is my thing. This is all about me. Well, there's also 3,000 of you out there. So let's think about all of me's and everybody that's out there and kind of go through it. But there's kind of like a mental checklist you have to go through. Where you can actually kind of go through and get that emotional reaction out of the way. Try not to be a dick about it, and then kind of rationally respond to it and go like, okay, bigger picture. Yeah, this is a race I wanted to do. It's the perfect time in my life for me to actually do an Ironman. This would have been my first Ironman to do. I'm probably not going to be able to do it again next year. Blah blah blah. Whatever the things come in. Oh well. Yeah. I'm sorry, but that's life at that point.
Well, and so to put a bow tie on it, though, right? The good news is when you get done, there's a couple things. I mean, you have stories, right, that are epic, right?
Yeah.
And you have confidence. So I know, I can deal with a 40-mile-an-hour headwind because I've done it, right? I know I can deal with a nagging injury because I've done it. I know that based on the experience of before, I know how to take care of this now, right? So every time you have an adversity on these things, you build up a knowledge base and you can, look back and think to yourself, okay, how could I have handled that better, differently, and, come out to your point. But you've done this enough where you're like, well, okay, get mad. Okay, got that done. Now I can either quit or I can just kind of move relentless forward progress,
relentless forward progress. Yeah.
Like somebody's going to pick you up. They can pick you up at mile 4 or they can pick you up at mile 10. Might as well just start walking and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
As long as you move forward, right? So forward's a pace. But then you look back on that and say, well, okay, now I have the confidence to know that I can get through that because I've done that. I got the confidence I can get through that choppy water because I wasn't expecting it to be this horrible, windy, terrible today. It was supposed to be smooth, but I got through it, right? So that's the kind of the good thing about adversity is if you pass the test mentally, emotionally and physically, then you can go, okay, I'm ready for the next one. It's not going to be as scary because I know I got through this. And so with that, I can handle the next one. Okay, well, this is not going to go. Okay.
Yeah, that gets us to focus on not the event itself, but we try to say the journey is the training, right? Mm-hmm. The training is the lifestyle. The training is what really makes you who you are. The event is just the cap, right? That just ends it, that type of thing. So I think in that sense, exactly what you're saying is that like you can get through all these pieces because it made you stronger. Yep. And anytime we face adversity, we grow. Yep. We need adversity to grow. A soft life, an easy life doesn't make you a better person because there's no adversity. You become a better person with adversity. So how do you face this adversity that comes through? And in this sense, like canceling the race on the grand scheme of things is not that bad, right? Yeah. There's a lot worse things that could happen to you. That would be.
Oh, gee, I have to train to be healthy for 2 years in a row now. It's like, I mean, on the bad side, it's going to be a lot of work. But hey, it's a lifestyle you do, and
it sucks. There's money that's involved. You kind of get into that thing. But once again, we also look back at the gratitude side of things of like, the fact that we're able to do this.
Sure.
Even if we're just doing a one and done, check the box and move on to something else. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's special that we're able to do this. There's so many people that don't have the ability, don't have the time, don't have the money, there's so many things that are strikes against them for getting into this kind of lifestyle. So having a little bit of that gratitude and having some of that emotional control in a sense that gets you there. So, and think about the journey, think about what you've gone through and the friends that you made, kind of looking at the bigger picture of how we get through this thing and go like, well, oh, well, there'll be another time I'll get to do it again, or, I'll try again next year. Yeah. Like I say, stay in the sport, come back.
Do it again. Do
it again. Let's keep trying.
There you go. And I think you found, found the cap. Yeah.
So let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Do you feel like if you were doing a race that the swim was canceled, and that in particular is a big one because it's been happening quite a lot. Do you feel complete? Right. And there's going to be, I'm sure there's a whole host of people, because usually on Facebook and Instagram, there's a whole arguments of like, no, you're not. Yes, you are. No, you're not. Like whatever. Let us know what you think and how you feel, and if you had that experience, what you went through and how you dealt with it. Because that's we want to know. It's interesting while we get into this thing. So cool. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Let's do this again. We've got some good stuff coming up, so make sure you subscribe. Somewhere on here, if you're watching the YouTube, you're going to see a little thing that says subscribe. And again, thumbs up, 5 stars, all that good stuff. Please let your friends know. Hope you enjoy it. Give us comments. Let us know what we're doing. We're getting better. I think this is, I think we're in the 80, I think this is 83 or 84. Like our 5th year doing this, and I'm still having fun. We've got some cool nutrition stuff coming up again, and some other fun stuff happening. So a lot of good guests that we're just trying to get coordinated on the schedule. So awesome. Thank you, everybody. Kenny, always good.
Yep, Tom.
And for everybody, we'll catch you on the next one.